Hey, good morning. It's Huntington disease Todd, and happy Easter. So today's topic is going to be what changes most with Huntington's disease. Is it the emotional? Is it the physical? Is it the mental? And then how long does all that take to, get to a point where it becomes less capable of dealing with? My whole goal of this talk was to talk about the fact that I've been working this week with my dad, my son. We're working on a project that, it's a home, but it was in such disrepair that it has become a real challenge for all of us to deal with. But what it's led me to realize is that my emotional part of my brain now, and now I'm 64 years old. I have a CAG of 41, and then I've had the diagnosis probably for 12 years. I'm telling you all that because some people that are watching this video, it'll be the first time. And I want to give a shout out to one of my regular watchers. Her name is Kim, and she always comments and watches my videos. So I want her to be aware that I'm aware of her. And this video today might be inspired because I wanted to make sure I got another video out this week. So with Huntington's disease, what really happens is it's a brain disease. I would say foremost of all the problems with this disease is it starts in your brain, and it could start even earlier than you ever thought. It could start in your 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. It could start with some, just inability to complete tasks, or it could be simple things like that earlier in your life. With me, I was very successful all the way up until I wasn't. And then when I wasn't being successful in the beginning, I didn't know why. I had a couple of projects I was working on before I knew I had Huntington's, and I just couldn't get them done. I don't know why. I didn't have that same, drive at the end of the project. I was working on a couple charity type things that I wanted to do. I was also, working in open houses with model homes and that sort of thing. All those things became harder. But what I've realized this week with my brain is all these years later is that the emotional part of it is really becoming more than what it was mentally in the beginning. Now, a mental is different than emotional. Mental just means you might have some stress and anxiety, things like that. So you might just have trouble, the mental part of it would be dealing with those kinds of things. But when it gets into the emotional, it becomes more of an emotional thing where, I can feel bad or good about things for weeks or days or whatever. Things can affect me one way or another. I can get concerned about things or I can forget about them. With my brain, it seems like the longer I go on, the less compassion that I have, but also I have the desire to be compassionate, and I don't want to be the way that I am sometimes, but I can't control it. I'm telling you this because everyone that has Huntington's disease could be facing the same challenge. And not only you, but your loved one. So there's kind of 3 points, but it's really going to be a bit rambling today. Because after this week of what I've gone through, working with my father and my son in this home that was a total wreck, it really became, an emotional challenge and almost train wreck for me. The whole atmosphere has been a bit toxic for everyone because we're working in such a mess of a home, and we're all getting to different stages of our life. So I can laugh a little, but so then when you have that emotional strain, it's going to affect your family life, right? It's going to affect the people around you when you come home or how you act. And then you feel bad about that. And then you can try to take medication, and then that medication can make you sleepy or tired or aggravate or whatever. It can calm you down, but then it can make you not want to be, awake. With me, almost any drug or anything that I take to just try and help me, it just makes me tired. And I'm only talking about a small amount of a pill that I take, and I've talked about it. It's called lorazepam, and it's only half a milligram. I took one of those yesterday in the afternoon to try to calm down because I just had this whole stressful week, and it knocked me out like a light. So the next day or two, today and tomorrow, I'm going to have to deal with the ramifications of that. But I was just saying all this to say, look, if you're having emotional turmoil in your family from your loved one that has Huntington's, just remember that it could be caused by all other kind of factors in our lives. You know, I was going to originally call this video "All Kinds of Things Are Hard to Do with Huntington's Disease," because that is really a true statement. You know, getting up in the morning and getting ready and making yourself available 5 days a week when you're not used to doing that, it can be challenging. Maybe it's challenging to other people too, but you know, I said a funny thing about this last week, working on this home. I'm getting so dirty every day that the thing I hate most about working every day is I have to take a shower every night because, again, with Huntington's disease, sometimes we not really care whether we take, you know, a whole bunch of extra showers. I've talked about before getting ready for things like that. So, you know, my availability to do something is not the same because I don't even have I don't have the ability, but also sometimes a desire. But in all reality, it's not that I don't want to do things. It's sometimes that I just, in my brain, it's not even turning on that I should be doing things. So this whole last week, I've worked with my dad and my son in the morning for a few hours trying to figure out, you know, how to get this home back into a position where it might be of some benefit to my dad's, you know, income situation or whatever, rental property. And it has been something else. So it made me think about this on this day about we have the problem in our brain mentally, emotionally, and then what becomes after that is it becomes physical. Believe it or not, what happens in your brain, and also there's other chemicals and other reactions that are happening from Huntington's, but lack of mental clarity can cause your brain to work so hard that you get physically drained too. Mental uncertainty, you know, not knowing exactly what you're expected to do or how to do it, and then getting it done, making that happen, you know, on a consistent basis. Now, I haven't been doing anything on a consistent basis for the last year or two, maybe longer than that. And what I mean by that is I haven't had a real schedule or I haven't had a real demand. So then again, that throws it back to what else about Huntington's is that having a regular job is not even sometimes about being capable of doing our things like fixing, you know, maybe I could go to a restaurant and work in a kitchen and wash dishes, let's say, for example. But there's no real guarantee that I would go do that every day because, you know, I can't guarantee that I want to get up every day, do the things necessary to leave the house and go to a job. You know, I always talk about the fact that I wake up early. I wake up sometimes, you know, of course, about 4 in the morning. So what do I do? I would like to go maybe go to the Burger King and help them get, you know, coffee and sandwiches ready in the morning. But only problem is with that is I would probably not want to do it once I had to make the commitment to do it. So that's, again, the part of our brain that's all controlled by Huntington's, and it makes everything that we do harder to do. And then also you don't have the motivation or you don't have the desire. You know, my desire right now would be sometimes just to sit in the house. Maybe I want to go do something. Maybe I don't. But for the loved ones out there, I'm sorry for how challenging this is. And I know that you're facing just a lot of things that are, you know, probably more than you bargained for with Huntington's disease. But I do want to give you just a little bit of hope. Every now and then, when the stress of these things come on to us that have Huntington's disease, too many questions can be detriment to our ability to function. You know, sometimes in all the effort of finding out things, you want to know how, when, what, where, why, when, how, and that sort of thing. And sometimes our Huntington's brain can't process so many questions in a row. So sometimes as a loved one, you could give your spouse a little bit of a break by maybe not insisting on knowing the answer because it will make you, because it satisfies your need. You have to think about their needs. So I know that a lot of times people that I see posting on groups and that sort of thing, they're like, oh, well, I can't get my loved one to do this or tell me that or what they want to do or what they want to eat. Just quit asking questions and just try to listen or try to just take a break and maybe things will come together on their own. I can get over inundated with questions, and it could be like, and I've learned it and seen it more with this working together with my dad and my son. You know, I used to know how to do all kinds of things involved with construction. And even those things that I knew, it's not only that I have forgotten how to do them, maybe to some degree, maybe I can't even do them correctly. running a saw straight on a line, maybe that's not my forte anymore. Or, maybe I can knock things apart with a sledgehammer, but I couldn't put finish nails in, or I couldn't paint trim on the edge of a board. All those things are changing because of Huntington's disease. So again, this video today is a bit rambling, but I wanted to just focus on the fact, as a Huntington's spouse and as a Huntington's loved one, the mental and the emotional part of this disease create the things in our brain that make us aggravating and agitated, and then it also causes us to, not react the right way. And for that, I know that we're all sorry, but also sometimes we don't even have the emotional baggage or the emotional ability to say that it matters to us. I can make my dad and son so angry when I'm working with them, but to me, it's kind of like water off the duck's back, or something that I don't even hardly pay that much attention to. I don't mean it that way to them, but my brain just doesn't function or do things the same way it used to. So, what was the thing that I talked about? What changes, most about the Huntington's disease brain? And I don't even remember what the title was now. What happens most is it changes our ability to do all things. And if you can kind of grasp that in your head, it's hard too, because other people don't have this going on in their mind. There's a lot of people that are older, but they still have a sharp mind, and they can't even fathom what I'm talking about, because my brain is so much different now. So this is today's episode. So what I did was I was posting these new episodes and calling them episodes 1 through 7 or 8 or whatever. I've actually done 90 other videos in the past. So the ones that I've done new and the old ones, I'm going to add those all together, because what I want to do is keep track of all the episodes that I've done, because I started this a year and a half ago. And so right now, today's episode is going to be considered 97. And also that gets me closer to 100. I'm going to make it to the 100th episode. And that 100th episode will probably be in May. And May is going to be our celebration of, not celebration, but it's the Huntington's Disease Awareness Month. That's my goal and where I'm going. So this Huntington's disease, Todd, hope this video has a little bit of benefit for someone that's just dealing with the stress of a loved one. Listen, if you get too stressed out, leave the room. It's going to be hard sometimes. Sometimes tempers will flare. I think we all know that. But down here or over there, there's going to be pictures. Try to subscribe if you want. Go see some of the other older videos that I've done. Happy Easter, Huntington's disease, Todd, and have a good day.